Hey Virgo, this is your Cancer season, July 2024 reading. All information to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as the extended version of this reading, which will be in the first link below, but give it about 24 to 48 hours before that comes out. I'd really appreciate it. More opportunities for one-on-one appointments too. Just check out that link. It'll be updated by the time this comes out. So Cancer season, right? The first thing, certain things I've written down, I'm sure will come out during the reading, but it's where the formless takes form and where the form becomes formless once again. This is where you ultimately thrive, all depending on where your mind is, where you are at in your life, what you're working towards, all of that. So mostly though, where you're at, where your mind is, what you're focusing on, or what life is trying to get you to focus on. So, first card's out. It's pretty clear. This is making it very clear that at this point in your life, wherever you're at, there is need specifically to, and this is funny because I just learned this too, what's happening in the energy right now. And what I'm also seeing here is this multi-dimensional change. You, for a lot of you, sun, moon, and rising, you're all coming up again, keyword, to the same issue once again. Different place, different time, different person, same issue, same, maybe it's you, right? Maybe it's everything. Every time you thought that you got through it and your time, it's like you're ready for something new, for some reason something else would occur. And it doesn't happen right away. It's like over time you're like, wait, I thought I experienced this already and here I am again. It's because you're only addressing maybe a certain layer of the problem. You don't even have to call it a problem, a certain layer of the situation. And for a lot of you, Mars and Taurus is communicating to you and helping you communicating, almost asserting you to communicate and push you towards things that may have taken a while. Again, this may have taken a while. This could also be a person. This could also be you needing to realize that the reason why, there's a reason why maybe things weren't working out, right? Things were stagnant. Things are stagnant with this particular person, with this particular time. And for those of you who are creating your own traditions, creating your own stability, creating your own sense of structure, the biggest part about why this is important is what comes next, Virgo. This is not just taking, this isn't a risk that you're used to taking. You're used to taking risks that are, because we have a lot to talk about, I have a lot to talk to you about. Taking risks for you is very specific. Why? What is specific about it? Well, I'm just gonna roll something while we talk here. So, what's so specific about it, you may ask? Well, this is about how whatever risk you're taking now, whatever risk is presenting itself to you, this is a different kind of risk. This is a risk going against tradition, but allowing yourself to be happy. Going against a tradition you were raised by, and for some of you, it's actually following through with it and you're not fighting that this is what you want. It doesn't mean you have to do it the same. It doesn't mean it has to look the same as the people that have come before you and how it's been done previously. But it also means that you could be healing something from that time in your life, from maybe when you're a child, from maybe when you learned first to interact with others, right? But this is about you and what you want and your prosperity and your good fortune and your change and your shift. This is about the kind of community you find yourself in. So for a lot of you, you find yourself surrounded by people, and on one hand, for some of you Virgos, there are people that you realize, like, actually, this is the way I work. These are the people I like, I want to surround myself with. This makes my time worthwhile. This is where I find that I am in good company, or maybe you are becoming even more abundant or prosperous around these people, right? And that's also another good sign around this community. But for the most part, regardless if that's exactly happening, I think it's going to begin, it's going to begin to become more precedent in your life. It's going to become more active in your life. You're going to become more aware of it. You become aware of it because you're also aware of because something will make itself known, or someone will make themselves known in this time. For some of you, it's a specific person. For others of you, it's you, where you may have acted a certain way in the past, where this may have had an effect, this situation may have had a greater effect on you in the past. And now, it's in a certain way, right? In an emotional way. In a way where it maybe would have stunted your ability, maybe even caused you to be 9 of Swords in your head for days, hours, days. Maybe for some of you, this is something that you've been holding on to for years. For some of you, it could even be 10. But you're finishing up this timeline, right? There's a very strong energy of doing something on your own. Mars from Aries into Taurus, something that you've been wanting to do on your own for quite some time, or it's been coming in and out of your awareness for quite some time. And because it's been coming in and out, you take that as a sign. I would hope that you would. This could be something to do with writing, releasing, any way in which you want to communicate to a specific group of people even. Because you find that there are people willing to listen to you, people who find you, and you are very intelligent and fascinating, Virgo. But this is also about the integrity in which your money rolls in, the kind of company, I should say, you keep, and how that affects your money, perhaps. Let's get back to that, learning. You are someone who molds and shapes through. You are formless, yet that's why you may find that you're someone who gains and loses weight maybe very easily. But wherever you have a hard time seeing a change in, and that could be yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, that may be the stubborn part so if something's going on with you physically and you're wanting to make changes, you've been working on something for a while, you may find that you need to feel through something, or you need to adjust your perception. You're so easy I found that you are some of the strongest manifestors. So this is what brings you from very strong to not so strong, and why it's so extreme for you. Because you're always shape-shifting. You're always molding. You're always shape-shifting, you're always molding, you're always doing something of that nature. And this month, it may feel like extra. You may feel like so formless. You may feel so free. For some of you, you may want to take a trip or travel. You may want to do or start a venture that's on your own. And for others of you, this independence coincidentally will only bring you closer to the structure that you're creating. Whatever you find about yourself in this place, whatever you come to terms with in this place, you're seeing how it's affected you, and you're seeing how what you haven't done up until this point has affected you. We're all pretty much in that place, but in a different way for every one of us. And you have the ability to take form or formless form and turn it into something and be shaped into something, because as much as you work hard, and you're known for working hard, no matter where area you are in your life, especially if you're looking to go somewhere, do something, progress in something, it's what you put into it. It's the efficiency. So if something isn't working and you've worked really hard, or you've put a lot of energy into something, this is a great time to realize that it's okay if you didn't make it to this certain level at this certain company, or at this certain place, in a specific skill, in a specific job. Whatever you learned up until this point, let me remind you, is the whole reason why you're there anyway. And whatever you're taking and leaving and moving forward with, that's beginning to take more shape in your life, which is why whatever you're running into isn't working. But it's also the reason why things have been coming back, is that this is like I said before, multidimensional, interdimensional. There's so many different facets to what you're healing right now. It may be one specific thing, but it spreads throughout so many different layers. That's why maybe it's come up again and again. And I think for some of you, this is where you have nothing to, you almost feel like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I got this. I am confident. I'm relaxed. I know what I'm doing. You're not going to die. Sometimes what can get you so caught up in your head too is that you enjoy the analyzation process so much until you're like, well, fuck that. I really don't even want to think about that anymore. I don't want to think about anything anymore. I don't give a fuck anymore. It's because you didn't act on something. There's something in that analyzation process, no matter what it's about, that needs to be acted on, which is why shit's not moving, which is why you get caught up, which is why you get frustrated, angry. Well, this season is coming in and cleansing anything that has been brought to the surface or cleared up from last month. And I'm gaining reason to believe that it's because of everything that's going to move into your subconscious. Your house of hidden life, hidden form will be coming out. And I think this needs to be clear. You need to be a little clearer. As formless as this is, there's a lot of clarity here. Mercury moves into Leo and it's even more clear. What becomes clear to you is made known to the world around you. There's a lot of yellow here. This is also about how whatever you have been addressing at this point has affected your ego, has affected your ability to be confident within yourself. You realize you even find more courage, more confidence. This risk is showing you how capable you actually are. And what you're capable of. The power behind the courage. Even if this feels like a small step, it's not. It's a huge step, especially to making boundaries around your heart. These boundaries around your heart, what you're addressing at this time. And mostly what you're healing. And what you're healing, which we'll get even more in depth into the second part, is whatever's been brought up from the lungs and into the heart. And sometimes when we breathe from here, there's something stuck, right? That eventually makes its way to communicate to your head, to communicate to be then released through your mouth, through your eyes, even though your eyes take in a lot. Your ears take in. The nose inhales and exhales. So whatever you're taking in and exhaling at this time, it's become completely obvious to you that your heart is needing some space, because whatever it is that you've been addressing, whatever that you've needed space from, especially if it is to do with how you can now allow your body to lead. I go too far, I have to come back. Not how you allowed your body to lead. What do you mean by that? That's your intuition. That is the biggest part of this this connection with yourself, is that you've always known it's been there and now you can't ignore it. Like I was telling Cancer, they can't hide. You can't ignore. There's a difference. And you're addressing the hurt that your heart has caused, that your head has caused. And it's not to blame that. It's just because it can feel overwhelming to feel something that you've been maybe ignoring or not wanting to feel for so long, because it's almost like not having that release you've been meaning to have. And not to get too TMI, but when you have there are some women or those people who bleed, when you have your period, if you don't get it, it starts building up over and over time, and that's water, that's blood, right? That's very much the direction. The water, what you're clearing up with yourself is not to ruminate in your thoughts, but to allow your emotions to guide you sometimes. And it's not to be irrational, it's not to say things that you don't mean, because you could feel very inflated towards the end of the month, but what brings you back down is this. And for those of you who have like a mother wound or some grievance at this time, one, I'm sorry. And two, if you don't allow yourself to address and be grateful that it's coming up for you while it's happening, it's not surprising you later on, but you're choosing to be with this feeling, be with these energies, because you've made space for it. You didn't know why. You were just going with something. You were just intuitively flowing your body. Then all of a sudden you come down, you actually have to make more of a conscious decision to steer clear. To realize that when you're addressing things, to steer clear of what's around you, but at the same time you're being guided more towards a purpose, towards something you may not have thought of, where those Three of Swords become these Three of Cups that have fallen over. Because what's behind you, what's left, what's realized, then become the chariot that guides you forward. Your emotions, that pain that you can go through. But if you only experience it up here, you'll keep looping. There's that connection, Virgo. You'll just keep looping. You got to bring it down here. You got to bring it into the body in order to feel and somatically experience it. Why am I obsessing maybe over that? Because Virgo, you need to experience things within your body. Your body, everyone needs their body. But especially a Virgo that doesn't know and didn't know they're disconnected, regardless of how many things you've been right about. Yourself isn't one of them. And you're here to understand, and this is a process where you're going through to understand. Right? We're entering next month, your house of subconscious. You're processing something to understand, to go through and solidify this huge cycle, to end this huge cycle that's come up over and over time. Again, it's because from what I learned, and I definitely agree with recently, is that it's healing you in other dimensions, other areas, other lifetimes, regardless of what you believe. if you can think about it, the heaviness of it, right? If you're someone who does get your period, think about how, if it's not too extreme all the time, think about what it is when the symptoms are so much stronger than at other times. What are you going through? What are you not going through? What is it bringing you to go through? Where is it drawing you towards, right? That's the water, that's the DNA within us that's drawing us towards something, and yours is an opening. There's so much creative potential that needs our minds to focus on what our heart is trying to tell us. And it's simple. The language of the heart, the language of the universe, we are complex. We are decoding, right? There's so much to learn. There's so much to listen to. There's so much to express. But when we get down to the bottom of it, it's usually something very simple that's trying to be communicated with us. And for some of you, it's just allowing yourself the safe space, and maybe this is you finally forming that safe space that's always kind of been there and taking shape in the subconscious, but now it's taking up the form because you need it so bad. And at the same time, you're almost afraid of it. And a lot of times we can bring our fears into manifestation quicker than anything else because we can feel them. And all of a sudden, that fear, that whatever your subconscious has been building, all of a sudden is there exactly when you need it. And you can allow yourself to sink into, fall into, ease into, relax into the safety that you feel and that you've created. And actually, you know what's coming up? I'm trying to trust everything because I have more time and space right now. Is that when I learned from my old acupuncturist, she is a Virgo, a Leo with a Virgo moon, or vice versa. Virgo with a Leo moon. Yeah. She said she prescribed me, but also sold to me because she had used really, really good, I forget what they're called. I was just reminded of them recently, but I forget. Really great line of herbs or whatever someone needs. And she told me about prebiotics. A prebiotic, she's like, many people don't realize that they're taking prebiotics, but it's just going right through them. You need, or the probiotics, and they're going right through them. But what you need along with it is something called the prebiotic, which is like the net that forms, and the probiotic can be caught by, so it's not all going through you, because that's what's happening. And then you're not really absorbing the nutrients you need, and that's a whole other conversation about gut health. But your lungs are really important to that gut health that I also learned recently as well. All this information is out here, and it's interesting how we're also connecting it to the cards. You know, the gut isn't out here. Well, it is. The stomach, digestion is, the Cancer card is Chariot, but you also rule that as well as the large intestine. Is that the prebiotic is being formed. It's being formed without you knowing. It's happening because you're putting energy into it, whether it's you need it, so it's subconsciously been thrown back here, and now it's presenting itself for you to fall into this form, to allow yourself to become formless this month, to trust that you will then start to take shape once again, and that this part of you will then start to take shape once again, because feeling the pain to its depth, allowing your body to process it, is reminding your nervous system that you are safe exactly where you are, that you always are. And you're like, yeah, I know this. No, Virgo, I think you need to be reminded of this right now. This emotional wave, this is what we're going through, is the hypersensitive people need to be reminded of this, because you will also be hypersensitive and perceive things around you differently if you don't allow yourself to see through the muck, if you don't allow yourself to also be with it sometimes, and then be directed and guided towards the end of the month. You might also get an opportunity. Maybe you get fired, or maybe you quit someplace. Maybe whatever has been stagnant and stalled you, Mars it's just pushed, it's blown through. It's just like big bad wolf and the three piggies, like just blow your house down. But you're just like kind of welcoming it. It's a welcoming, it's a change, it's a welcoming of the destructuring of it all. You're not known to be non-rebellious, right? People think like, no, you can be very rebellious. And and the strength that comes from your words, the power just starts to allow things to take shape right before your eyes, and all of a sudden you see where I said back from when I was talking about when you're the ability you have to manifest so quickly. It's just as quickly that you can take it away from yourself. So that's why that prebiotic is needed, that just need out of love for yourself, and how strongly that holds when then processing and digesting and realizing no matter what you're digesting, there doesn't need to be judgment on it. Even if it seems really weird, even if it takes you somewhere else. It's important to be with, acknowledge, and sit with all of this month, because you'll be making decisions and moves by the end of the month. You may have already made some that brought you somewhere else, but then there is a moment, a pause, a time in between the next action. So non-action, that digestion, allowing your body to process while you are in that place. And maybe when I mean by becoming formless is that when you do something or you create or you get lost in something. Maybe that happens. Maybe it's for the first time. Maybe you just haven't felt it in a while. Some call it flow. And welcome to Cancer season. Oh, Virgo. All right. I'll see you next month. The link is below to get into this even deeper. And all information to work with me one-on-one is there as well. New podcast will be up this week. Hoping to do it actually very soon. So catch me there, and we'll see you next month.